everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making you some shakshuka. This is a Middle Eastern meal. It is eggs in a tomato sauce. It is delicious and it can be served any time of the day. So let me tell you what the ingredients are going to be so we can go ahead and get to making this delicious Middle Eastern meal. Alright, so I've got some ingredients set up here in front of us. These are some bell peppers, and I'm going to be chopping up the equivalent of one bell pepper. You can use any color you want. Red and yellow is nice. It's really pretty in your meal, and that's what I'm going to be using. But I'm going to be using a little bit of this orange one only because it was in a package of these three. So that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using half an onion. This is just a yellow onion, and I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to use half of a jalapeno, so it's a pretty big jalapeno, but just half of that. If you want to use a quarter amount of that, maybe a teaspoon of chopped jalapeno, and that's all you can handle, then just use that. I've got 4 eggs. For this particular amount that I'm going to be using, you want to use 6 eggs, but I'm cutting it down to only 4 because it's just my husband and I that are going to be eating this. We are going to be needing a can of diced petite tomatoes, or you could use crushed tomatoes. This is a 28-ounce can. I've got some cilantro as a topping. I've also got some feta cheese. You can use goat cheese if you prefer that. And then I've got these little naan bread. I'm going to toast those up and we're going to eat our shakshuka with that. Let me tell you the seasonings that we're going to be using. We are going to be needing some paprika, some chili powder, cayenne pepper, ground cumin. We're going to be using turmeric, black pepper, some salt, just a little bit, and some powdered garlic, or you could use fresh garlic if you prefer to chop that up. Those are our ingredients. I'm going to get to chopping and then we'll come back and start cooking up our shakshuka. Alright, I've got a hot pan going here. You can do this on the stove, obviously. I'm doing it on my countertop so that I can record this for you. I'm going to be using some cooking oil, and I've chosen to use extra virgin olive oil. So you want to pour about a tablespoon at the bottom of your pan, and you can use a lower pan. You don't have to use a deep pan like what I'm using. You probably want to maybe use a bigger skillet if it's lower. Just because all the ingredients that are going to go in there. I'm using this one because I love cooking on my copper chef. Alright, so I'm going to throw in my onions in there first. So let's get those in there. Okay, so I want to go ahead and saute those till they are translucent and a little bit brown. So this is going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to soak them in the olive oil. And we're going to go ahead and come back when those are nice and brown. Alright, so I've gone ahead and let my onions cook a little bit. They've actually sweat a little bit by me having covered them up. And they've taken a few minutes. I walked away and I should have been watching it. They did get a little bit burned, but that's fine. We're going to go ahead and keep them like that. They're not badly burned. They're just a little bit too brown. But anyway, what you want to do is you just want to get them to get translucent and a little brown. Alright, let me get this lid out of the way because now we're going to go ahead and add our peppers. So all our bell peppers will go in there, and our jalapeno. Now the jalapeno, when you're cooking it, of course you'll be able to smell it, so be careful with that. The oils get released and cough a little bit with them. So I'm just going to toss this around a little bit. Remove this one here. That didn't look so good. I'm going to remove that one onion. Okay, there we go. I'm going to add a tad bit of oil. Just about a teaspoonful. Because the onions did absorb a lot of the oil that was in there. And I just want to get this in the bell peppers. And try not to get yourself over it, because if you swallow that steam coming up with the jalapeno, oh boy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and season this. So we're going to put salt to taste, just a little bit for me. I'm going to add lots of black pepper. Add whatever you want. I'm going to wait to add the garlic later because I don't want that to burn. All right, stirring that salt and the pepper around. Okay, so now we want to add some cumin, and of course you're going to add that to taste, but if you were going to measure this, maybe half a teaspoon of each of these next spices, which would be the cayenne as well. And chili powder. Now, if you cannot take too much heat, leave the jalapeno out because that's probably going to be the hottest, or leave your cayenne out. And I've added some paprika and now the chili powder in the same amounts. And I'm also going to add about half a teaspoon of ground turmeric. Okay. Get my half teaspoon, which is right here. I probably added less than a half a teaspoon of the other. Let me see. No, it's about a half a teaspoon of everything that I've added. You can adjust these amounts depending on your taste. If you like things a little spicier, and by spicy I don't mean heat, I just mean spicy, which will give a kick at the back of your throat. Heat will burn your lips and your mouth and your tongue and your fingers and your hands and your eyes. So that's a little bit different. Excuse me. Woohoo. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the tomatoes to this. Let me get all these little onion bits off my spoon because they are so yummy. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to add is the garlic powder. So I've got my can of tomatoes with the juice, everything in there. This might splatter depending on how you pour it in, so be careful. I've got it on medium heat now. I had it on high for a little bit. I should have lowered it when I was cooking my onions. So now I'm just going to go ahead and let all these flavors marry each other. I'm going to add some garlic, and I think I've said this before, I love garlic. All right, so we're going to put that in here. Stir it around. I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to be simmering it for about 15-20 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and lower the temperature. So now I'm going to cover this, and I'm just going to let this all the flavors infuse together, and we'll be back to add our eggs to our completed shakshuka. All right, I'm back 15 minutes later, and I've had my tomatoes and bell pepper onions sauteing or simmering here for about 15 minutes, like I said. I'm going to remove the lid so we can go ahead and look at this. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir so that you can see it's still got some liquid in there. Let me bring this up to you so you can look at it right there. All right, so we're going to keep it hot. So now we want to add the eggs. So what we're going to do is just make like a little well, and like I said, this would take 6 eggs, so you could make 6 little indentations here in the tomato. But I'm only going to do 4 because it's just my husband and I. So we're going to eat all this yummy tomato between us. All right, so now I made some little nests in my tomato. You could crack your eggs in there directly, but I'm doing it this way, and just pour that in. And I'm using extra large extra large eggs. And we're just going to poach them in this tomato sauce. Get that little shell out of there. Come on. That one right there. And the last one. Now, depending on how well poached you want your eggs, that's how long you're going to cover it up for and let them cook. I like mine kind of soft, so I'm going to give it about 3 minutes and check them and make sure that the yolk is still soft. If you want them a little bit longer, you can leave them covered for about another 5-7 minutes if you really like them well done. But the whole secret to this is to leave kind of a runny yolk because it gives it all a really nice flavor to the tomato and all the yumminess that's in there. So we're gonna just cover this for about 3 minutes, and I'll be back and serve this up, and it'll be a delicious meal. All right, it has been 3 minutes, so let's check on our shakshuka. And look at that. It looks delicious. Look at our eggs. They're soft poached. If I do this, I can feel that they're nice and soft. So these are ready to my liking. If you would like them a little bit more cooked, you want to leave them a couple of more minutes. And actually, I've already turned off the heat. So that is done. I'm going to cover them up, and we're going to come back and we're going to go ahead and serve them on our plate and give it a good taste. All right, we're going to take some of these tomatoes, put them down in our plate, grab an egg here, nice and carefully. Pour this on top of our tomatoes. A little bit more here on the side. And of course, I probably want to serve myself another tomato, but I'm going to serve this up for now just so that you can look at it. Look how delicious that looks. So now we want to maybe top it off with some cilantro and some goat cheese and some naan bread. And there you go. Look how beautiful that is. I'm going to give this a little taste here on the side. I'm actually going to break my yolk so I can see that beautiful runny egg. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's so delicious. I can take my naan bread and dip it into the yolk. Look at that. Delicious. Well, there you go. That's my recipe for shakshuka. I hope you enjoyed my recipe, and I hope that you will give me a big old thumbs up, as I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. Please subscribe, leave a nice comment down below, and don't forget to hit the notification button so that you can be notified when I put up my videos. Every Tuesday a craft video, every Friday a recipe video. And that's it. Make sure you share on your social medias, and as always, enjoy.